Okay, it's another episode. Hey guys, thank you for joining us again. This is Metaphysically Speaking with Mystic Madison, and I have a guest today who I think your phone's going to be ringing off the hook because she has so many fans. So I'll let you introduce yourself because you do have your own fan base that you communicate with all the time.
Hi
So
guys, it's Christine. You know me. If you want to call in, you can do so. Or if you want to, I'm going to go look at my live, the questions I had on Facebook Live before, and we'll see if we can get to those if there are any. And I love having you. If you can stay for the whole thing, we'd really appreciate it because we're going to talk about fun stuff.
we're going to talk about how she got here and what made her evolve into this best-selling erotic novelist that you are today. In the romance genre. So, and that ties into metaphysics because we're going to be talking about the interplay and I'm going to ask you some really juicy questions about the
I'm not going to
play.
answer any of them.
Yes, you will. Believe me, we have ways. Anyway, we're going to talk about the interplay between masculine and feminine power within relationships. We're going to talk about marriage, I suppose,
And games.
and games. You should show your book, but we have so many things to discuss. But that is her book, Marriage Games. If you are a speed reader, you could go on Kindle right now and you could download it and read it super fast, and then you could call and talk
Or you
about
could
it
run to
with
Barnes and
us.
Noble right now and pick it up.
Yes, we're here till 4, which is, I don't know what time that would be, East Coast time. I guess it would be like 7.
7.
But we're going to be here, so you can do that while we're talking about Chinese New Year. So yeah, we have a lot to cover.
Yeah.
So happy Chinese New Year. I did want to take a little bit of the podcast today to talk about the Chinese New Year because your guest, your being a guest on the show actually corresponds perfectly with the most important holiday to the Chinese community. By the way, I found out why the Chinese New Year jumps around.
It's lunar. It's lunar.
Yes.
It's a lunar New Year.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it goes anywhere from the end of January till mid-February. It corresponds with the new moon, which is closest to spring. So today is the first day. We're coming out of the fire monkey and we're going into the fire rooster. And I do have to say that this is going to have a whole nother energy from last year.
Oh wait, I brought you something.
Oh,
Yes, I brought you Chinese New Year things. An orange. Chinese people give each other oranges for Chinese
I
New
thought
Year.
they only gave each other red things. Like I don't know, lipsticks, apples.
I don't know. I read this on the internet, so it has to be true. And so this is a sign of abundance. So may you have an abundant year of the
Thank
rooster.
you.
And
From
I
CD Reiss.
and I
Thank
brought you. Wait, it's in my little special notebook of things. I brought you. They also give each other. See, I used to
Is
work.
this it? No, that's
No,
not
I'll
it.
find it. Okay. Anyway, so I'm going to dump something else on you very soon. But go ahead. I'm looking for it.
So the Chinese New Year, I think we should talk a little bit about that because a lot of people are celebrating. You should definitely, and by the way, thank you for this. This is you know,
Keep
it's
that
really,
forever.
Well, it's
Don't let it go,
I mean, what
Madison.
happens if it starts to go bad? Do I lose my good luck or my abundance?
I don't know, man, but if you eat it, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't
Oh
know,
my
so.
God. Well, I certainly should wait till after the show rather than during the show because who knows what can happen. But yeah, it's pretty exciting to think that we're in a new energy, we're in a new time. I think most of us are happy to be done with 2016. And my apologies go to all the people out there that maybe got married in 2016 or had a baby. I mean, 2016 was, still had good moments. But overall,
They were few and far between.
overall, it was a kind of a chaotic year, and that's because it was the year of the fire monkey. And when you think about the animals in astrology, and by the way, they also correspond to Western astrology in a sense because they also have 12 as we have 12. The difference is that theirs ties in with elements. So the last time the fire rooster had hit was 1957. So it comes every 60 years. And it's so funny that we're actually having a repeat in some ways of the 60s again.
Yeah, what happened in
Is that weird?
Because 1967, 68 were particularly bad,
Yeah.
as I recall. 57. I'm not. Was the Vietnam War happening?
No, I
Or
don't
was
think
that
it.
Korea?
Yeah, I don't know. I should have done my research, but it's interesting to see how we are kind of going into a evolutionary time or revolutionary time, sort of as a consciousness. Wouldn't you like agree? It's like weird.
I would agree something very serious is happening.
Yeah. You heard it. You heard
I
it
will
from
say
the
nothing
writer.
more.
And yeah, if, it seems like you could probably write a book
I
on.
I could I could. Would anybody buy it? I don't think
Oh, I'm
so.
sure they
I don't
would.
think so.
Certainly, if it was as juicy as your other books.
It's funny. A lot of my friends are writing books about sexy presidents. Sierra Simone wrote something called American Queen. And there's another book coming out that, oh god, I can't tell you the title. And Katie Evans wrote Mr. President, and it's a thing. It's definitely a thing.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's an obsession with presidents in general, or do you think it has to do with us trying to kind of like make it more palatable? Maybe is that possible?
I think that when people talk about the same, no matter what the subject is, when people keep talking about the same thing, and we've been talking about presidents all year. So I think that when people keep talking about something, it kind of gets into the air.
Yeah, it does.
And so when something gets into the air, then as writers, we can't think about anything else at all. So it jackhammers its way into our writing and our work, and we start thinking about president. Oh, what if the sexy president? Yes, I'm writing a book next year called The King of Code, and it's about a coastal elite coder, meets a Rust Belt queen, because that's what we're talking about right now. We're talking about what's happening in the Rust Belt. We're talking about.
You were going to say the White House.
No,
Oh, you weren't?
No,
Oh.
no.
See how I heard that? Even
wow.
though you weren't going to
Maybe
say
I was
that?
thinking it. I don't know.
Maybe
I don't know. But it's like we're talking about. But that's what we're talking about. Is how coastal elites such as myself talk to people in the middle of the country and talk about what their problems are. And the more I think about things like that and other people are talking about it, the more it's going to find its way into the minds of creative people, and you're going to start seeing it around, because we really can't think about much of anything.
Well, that kind of touches into the show, actually, the show content and Metaphysically Speaking with Mystic Madison. When you think outside the box and you think about things metaphysically, you get into the collective consciousness. And that was one of the questions I was going to bring up with you, is how much of your writing is maybe just something that's coming from you, or is it coming from somewhere else? And if so, where? But I have a list of questions for you.
I
for
hope
sure.
you do.
I have a list of questions for you. Whoops! Oh no, I dropped your arm.
That's it. No, it's your luck,
Oh my
man.
God.
It's your arm.
Oh my God, is that a bad
You
sign?
should get insurance.
We're going to put it down, because otherwise I'm going to play with it. Oh, and by the way, I wanted to show everybody, and I don't know if there's any stamp collectors out there, but I thought this was like a little fun thing, just heralding in the new year. You can actually get stamps that are for the Chinese New Year, and these are fire rooster stamps, and that way you can constantly remind everybody that we're in a new year. We have to be positive and excited that hopefully the rooster will herald in some new changes. Now, by the way, I want everybody to know that the rooster is supposed to be it's very different than the monkey, because the rooster is all about stability. Roosters are good planners.
They get up early.
They get up early, that's right, and they crow. Oh my goodness, see how these tie into the actual animal. But yeah, it's actually the sign that out of all the Chinese signs, it's the one that gets the most done. So roosters are supposed to have great energy for being stable, for being methodical, for being somewhat dependable, I think is under that, honest. So, and also, you know what I found out when I did my research the other day? I found out that a lot of people who are Chinese, when they have a rooster baby, one of the top professions for roosters is journalists. And this may be the year of the journalists.
I hope so. I really hope so.
I mean, will truth save the day? I mean, I feel that is part of the revolution.
Yeah.
Figuring out what is true, what is not true. And there's one warning with the rooster that I thought was super interesting, and that was that that with the rooster you also get the proud cock. You know how they say there's the, you
Mm-hmm.
know, like the roosters like to kind of ruffle their feathers, they get their feathers ruffled and they kind of like try to make themselves big. And there was a concern that the world leaders would kind of, there'd be a little bit of interchange with that. And if any of the world leaders are listening to me right now, we can, all we can do is, you know, we really want you to just kind of keep your cool and make
There's
sure you
absolutely no
listen.
chance of that happening.
Just make sure you listen to each other. Be respectful
And these are men,
of
right?
what people have to say, and if they can keep their cool and keep their emotions in check, we're actually in for a great year, much better than the year of the monkey, where things were surprising and things happened out of the blue, and it was kind of like you didn't know what to expect with the monkey. But with the rooster, at least we'll know, or we'll have an idea of what to expect.
I don't know if asking these guys to keep their pants on is, I don't know, man. So they're all going to be like strutting.
Yeah,
They're
a
all good.
little
So you got
bit, a
Putin
little bit.
strutting. You
Yeah.
got the Chinese emperor strutting. You got everybody strutting.
Yeah, I mean, there. Yeah, you do have to. We do hope that there's a little bit of checks and balances, and that there's kind of a lid put on hot emotions, put on this grandiose, like trying to be the best, trying to be the better, trying to boast. You know, that's the downside of the rooster. The upside is that you get stability, you get careful planning, you know what to expect, and there's a certain amount of good things, you know, looking for truth that comes out of that. So
All right.
so yeah, so that was my thing about the rooster, and I thought it was so interesting
It is. No, the
that
Chinese New Year is fascinating. I brought you a coin in a red envelope that's probably by my bag. And when I worked in the garment industry, Chinese New Year was a huge thing. Um, all of China shuts down, and we would work mostly with Eastern China, Northeastern, and Hong Kong, and everybody would go off. Everybody would leave during Chinese New Year. And
where would they go?
they go out back to the countryside, back to their villages to see
Uh-huh.
their families. And always the challenge was that some people would not come back. And it wasn't a bad thing. So they would fall in love there. They had to stay with their parents. They decided they didn't want to be in the rat race. So you would end up with like a 20% dropout in the factories because it was such a big deal. And the changes that happen in China over Chinese New Year, just the individual lives, really had a large bearing on how the business is run over there. So I know a lot about. So I would always get these from my factories. These little red envelopes with coins.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Were they like numerous coins? Like would
No,
it
one
be-
you'd have the they're these like little special Chinese New Year little envelopes that were coin sized, right? So then they would put $1 coin in there and they would close it up and they'd send it to me and it was just lovely.
You know, I was at the bank the other day, and this woman ahead of me, I was not even thinking about the Chinese New Year at that point, but the woman ahead of me went up to the teller and she said, I need like, you know, $52 bills. And after she left, I happened to overhear her, and I went up to the teller and I said, "Is there
the
like
heck?
what is there
heck?
like a shortage of $2? Should I be stocking up on $2 bills?"
Who wants $2 bills? What is
And
that?
he's like, "No, it's a Chinese New Year, so maybe the coins are like less valuable now." I mean, what can you get with a coin,
I
really?
don't know. They would hold papers down. That's what couldn't spend them. Chinese
You
coins.
can make jewelry out of them. I have a really
You
cool
could.
piece
Oh,
with a
yeah.
little
But
coin
they
on
have
it. Yeah.
Think about it.
So this is good. I just wanted to start with that. I wanted everybody to know, you know, to be optimistic, to also, oh, there's one more thing, and then we're going to get to your stuff.
I'm gonna talk
your
about cocks all day.
But there's, okay, you heard it from her. But one thing that I really liked about the Year of the Rooster is that if you have anything that you've been working on for a really long time, you can get it done this year. So for
My
me,
house is gonna get renovated?
Yes,
I'm gonna
yes.
finish renovating my
Yes,
house?
Yes, and for me, it's going to be like my closets, my upstairs, like everything that I'm thinking. Oh, I need to hire an organizer. This is the year. If you have any deep issues, if you have anything that needs to be resolved, watch relationships, because just as I talked about a political situation, you can be a little volatile this year. But it's also great for getting stuff out. like deep stuff that's coming to the surface, this is the year. And maybe this is why things are happening the way they are happening, if I can just say this politically, because this is some deep stuff. I mean, everybody is kind of saying, oh, it's because of this administration, but there's stuff that's been going on a long time that is really kind of coming to the surface now. And that may have a lot to do with the energy of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've found that when people don't agree with me, if I beat them with sticks, it doesn't help. So
You know what? You're great on podcasts. You're so funny. CD
yeah,
Reiss.
but I mean it because, maybe all that junk just needs to come out. And when the junk is out, because, again, beating people over the head, it doesn't work. I've tried it. I've never served any time for it. I just want you to know I've never been convicted.
That's good.
Yeah, no, it was really... so maybe that's
Although
necessary.
that would be a really cool, juicy romance novel. If
prison,
you would, oh my God,
oh
that would be great.
Oh, like it's out there.
Oh, it is.
Oh, it
I
is.
just don't know about it.
Oh my God, girl, especially female prisons.
Well, wait, there's a TV show about that.
Well, yeah, no, but not that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I read this one book called Protection by I'm not even going to say the author was T. Baggins. I know, because it was a joke for him. But anyway, so it's a male. And it's set in the prison in the 1940s, 50s, something, and it's called Protection, and it is outstanding.
Is it protection because they should have worn protection, or is it protection?
No,
I
no,
don't know.
no. Well, I mean, it was the 50s, so they weren't going to get each other pregnant. But
yeah.
so it was about one guy selling protection. The cost being,
Okay.
just what it is. But actually, it's quite a good book. And it was one of those books that I read, and I said, oh, I can do this. It doesn't have to be trash, because it wasn't trash at all. So realizing that things didn't have to be trash also. But wait, we were talking about something. And then we brought up protection, and then before that was prison, and then before that was hitting people over the head. I'm sorry. Yes.
That's okay. These have their own I
had to run the train in reverse. You see,
yeah,
you have to figure out what we were talking about.
That's actually impressive. That's when we asked you to count for our sound.
I went backwards.
She went backwards, and I was thinking to myself, that says a lot right there. Okay, so I'm going to go to my list of questions. Again, we are with CD Reiss, and by the way, this is a great time to tell you guys. Please send some likes. Please send a heart. If you're interested in what we're talking about, please give us a thumbs up. That's really awesome when you do that. We love it. So we're going to talk about CD Reiss with us today with her book Marriage Games, which made the bestsellers list, New York Times.
New York Times bestseller, yes.
And it's under the genre of erotic romance.
Yes.
And, I'd like to maybe take this time to find out how you got into this genre, how you got started. Maybe you told me you've written 25 books.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that. These are big hits. And there's another book called Separation Games,
yes.
which I was hoping that
I didn't have the paperback.
Which maybe it's still in hardcover, which maybe, I don't know. What do I know? But anyway, we'll talk about it next time. But so I really want to know how you came to this genre and how you came to writing. You have a background in the garment industry. You have many other talents, but this is what hit. So I'd like to know about that.
I'm gonna give you the medium version. Okay, I'm gonna try to make it interesting. Okay, so I was in the fashion industry, but in about 3 weeks in the fashion industry, I realized, oh my God, nobody cares how long the hemline is. I mean, people cared, but it wasn't important. And I started to realize that sales was really running the whole thing, and I got bored after a month. So 20 years later, after the first month I started writing. I bought a computer and I started writing, and then I lost my job, and then I started writing a lot. And I kept writing, and I went to grad school, and then I had to write some more, and then I moved to LA. LA was before the grad school. And then
obviously you go backwards with your.
That's
why you count backwards.
If you've read, okay, so if you've read Marriage Games, part of it runs backwards.
Oh,
yeah,
very interesting.
Part of it runs backwards. So you see one scene, and you think you know the motivation for that scene, but then I tell you what happened right before that scene. So it colors this scene. So then I tell you the motivation in the scene before, what happened directly before. So then it makes you rethink about these two scenes that happen after. So there are 4 total. And so then, there's one scene of someone looking at a painting, and you realize that this whole episode of Four Things That happened because of a painting and not because of something someone said and not because of something someone tried to do, and all of it was motivated in a way that you didn't understand because you didn't see the beginning. So you kind of have to go halfway with me to kind of understand that when you're seeing part of a picture, you are not seeing the whole picture. You are never seeing the whole thing, and you think you understand things, but you really don't.
So it's a little bit of interlocking puzzle pieces.
Yes, I do that a lot, and I do a lot of taking things from one time to another time, and then switching them, and then taking this and putting it here.
Is that how your brain works, or does it evolve out of your head that way? Or
it does evolve out of my head that way. Sometimes I do move things intentionally after they're written, but it's partly because when I'm writing, I'm not really worried so much about the story because I have no outline. I let it happen. But because I'm trying to navigate your experience. It's the reader's experience. So when I do a section backwards, I'm doing it because I want you to have a certain experience reading it, not for any other, and it's not to be an arty-farty, it's because I want you to come to me, right? And it's kind of a way when the reader is unsure, when the reader is off balance, I can really, I think, get my message in there better, and I can also get the sex in there better because
they don't know when to expect it.
Right. Well, because you're like you're open, and your mind is all the way open, and so when I hit you with emotions and sex and all of the things that reading about sex does to your body, it works because your feet are not under you.
Do you see this? If you open up your brain to her book, she's going to get in there, and you are going to be like submissive to her power. Oh my God! I mean, this is like spell work. We should have you on the spell show where we talk about like how to cast spells on the public. Maybe you should send some to the overall.
Yeah. No. Yeah, they're not going to read it.
Okay. It was just a thought.
They have to read.
Trying to think
One
outside
would
the
have
box.
to actually read books in order to actually read it. That would be
so that's really so so you told us about your style of writing.
Oh, you're right. I never told you about the things.
Yeah, how did you get involved? Like, how did you?
I wrote this I wrote this book, and it was about.
What was your first book? Will you tell us?
It was called Blue Valley. And it was set in 1942.
Really? Like a period piece?
Valley. It was a period piece set in 1942 in the Salinas Valley, farmland. And about the struggles with the earth, and then the magical realism, and then the earth rebelled because of the.
Was it a fantasy?
It wasn't high fantasy or hard. I think it's called high fantasy. It was no swords and elves and that kind of thing. So it was all people dealing with a magic that they didn't understand. That was not about spells and this kind of thing, but it was more magic that came from the earth and became.
That sounds like a M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, without the surprise ending.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had 4 books planned, but it didn't do well. And I was not going to spend time on 3 more books if I was not going to make a living. I'm sorry. Baby needs a new pair of shoes. So Mommy started writing mysteries, and the mysteries did okay. And they were fashion mysteries, and they did all right. They did okay. And then I thought, so I had this mysteries, and there was this like overarching love story. And I fell in love with the love story. And I still love the love story. And I have an unpublished book with the love story because it's all love story. And mystery readers, I'm going to tell you one thing about mystery readers, they don't want love stories. Okay? So I was like disappointing people en masse. So I was like, I really love the love story. I just love it. And I have all of these like sex scenes that I wrote for that couple that I couldn't put in the book because
it wasn't the genre.
Yeah. I have them. They're not that great. But anyways, I said, I really enjoy that. So I said, I'm just going to do all the stuff I like. I'm just going to do everything I like. I'm not going to do anything I don't like. If I don't want to do mystery, I'm not going to have mystery. If I want to do sex scenes, I'm going to do all sex scenes. And I'm not going to turn away. And I'm not going to blink. And I'm going to do every word and every single thing because...
So you were just going to let it flow.
I was just going to have it. I was going to just jump off a high building and see what happened.
Right. So you leaped.
I did. And I still do that with every book. Because I don't write an outline, so I just stand on top of the building and I say, I really hope there's a net, or it's really not that
And you're
high.
like, we're gonna see if people come with me. Really,
Yeah,
really,
yeah, yeah,
you're gonna see if people will join you. It's like a journey. It
yeah.
sounds like your own personal evolution, and whoever, and you're opening it up so that other people can kind of jump into your brain. I
Yeah.
guess that's on some level. That's what all authors do.
Yeah, I
Really,
mean,
the best ones,
every process is
or
different.
maybe, yeah.
Some people, tell a different kind of story. Some people use different methods. Most people like actually might have an outline before they start, or an idea of what they're going to write before they start. I don't really have much of an idea.
Really, you don't have any
Yeah.
idea.
Well, all right. So I said, like, I wrote a blurb for Marriage Games. It was about a guy whose wife leaves him and he's devastated. He's crushed. And he says, all right, honey, I'll give you the divorce. I'll give you the company. I'll sign everything over to you if you give me 30 days alone and you do whatever I tell you in 30 days. And so there's a little negotiation that goes on with that. But she agrees. And I'm not going to tell you what happens, but basically that was, because I didn't know what was going to happen, actually.
I think that's fantastic.
So
that is so great. That's
yeah,
cool.
It's just setting up a situation. So it got crazy sexy because you got two people in a house together in the dead of winter out in Montauk, and of course they get snowed in. Of course they get snowed in. What? Um,
Right.
and all of the things that go with that, and it was, and then it just started to take on a life of its own. But the struggle is always the first 30,000 words, because I don't know where I'm going after like that situation works itself out. 30,000 words is about the third of the way in, and and then I start to understand where we're going. But there's so many changes. Like I think it's about something, and then the characters are like, no. No.
So I'm going to break the fourth wall here, and I'm going to say that actually I do know Christine. I do. I do. I've known her for a while, and I've seen her evolve as this author that you are today, this amazing kind of plugged in person that you have become with ownership of a genre. And I have seen her write. I've seen you like where I can't even get 30 seconds of attention because you can actually feel, I could actually feel you kind of like buzzing, kind of vibrating, where you were kind of not really, I don't want to say uncentered, because that kind of denotes that you weren't present, but you were present, but you were on a different level. And I've seen that creative process working through you, which kind of ties into, another thing, like the whole creativity process. Is it really you? Metaphysically, is it you, or are you channeling, or is there some sort of superconscious out there that are these people in your book that are kind of like plugging into you because you want to express them and are coming out with a story?
I don't know. I don't. It's, you get a lot of authors talk about, oh, the voices in my head, and I'm sure that's real. And they talk about their characters talking to them all the time. I can't say that I haven't experienced that, but I only think that to a certain extent that is my brain trying to solve a problem.
Because it seems like it's bigger than you.
No,
I have to throw
is.
that.
No, I'm not.
I have to. No, I know, but I have to throw that out there because you were definitely kind of almost like it's like you were only half there, and that's not a bad thing.
I'm kind of I believe in what I call the Holy Spirit, which I think that you have a different name for, which is it's valid from any religion.
Yeah.
But there's a Holy Spirit which is more of a conduit, but I think I do most of the talking to the conduit. I don't know if the conduit talks to me. I feel like I talk to the conduit, and this is what I'm doing when I'm doing this thing, and then the conduit says nope, 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 yes. And that's kind of how it goes for me.
Got it. You have a truth button.
Yes, and it's like false, false, false. They walk down the hall, false. He says, "Screw you, false." And then they have sex. True. Okay.
Maybe whenever sex comes up, it just always says right.
Actually, no. I've cut one sex scene.
Just one?
I've only
All these years?
all these years I've cut one sex scene. Yeah, it was like this doesn't do anything for the story. This goes nowhere, so I cut it and I have it, and I should probably put it on my website or something.
It's very interesting. I mean, that process, and you know, it's a privilege to see somebody going through that. By the way, I wrote about the truth button on my Mystic.
Oh, really?
On my Mystic Madison page, yeah, because I think that's something that you're really opening yourself up in the creative process, and a lot of people they'll get like little hits of it just in everyday life. You know,
Right.
like, oh, I feel like I should make that phone call, or somebody will say something that just won't feel right.
Right.
And I think that's something that everybody should kind of practice tuning into. And when you're in the creative process or that zone, I think you're like kind of an open vessel where things are just going to kind of come, you know, it's interesting to hear. So, so let's see. I do have questions for you, because your book is a lot about male. You're looking at me like, oh no, what is she going to
No,
ask
I'm
me
sorry. I'm gonna
next?
look at the camera. I was
No, you can look at me, but you're like, okay.
no. I
You
don't know
know,
what she's gonna talk about.
well, I was really interested to know, you know, well, first of all, you told us about your process, but you also chose a genre that is about the male-female interplay.
Mm-hmm.
And very specifically, I think, if I'm not mistaken, more male domination, female
Yeah.
submission. And, you know, I wanted to know if you feel that that's very integral, I guess is the right word, to our society, or it seems like our society might be switching that, or is that something that switches off and on? Do you ever write about the other?
I don't, because it's not as interesting to me, which doesn't mean it's not
I thought you said you
completely-
like to beat people over the head with sticks.
but it's not sexy.
Oh.
Not sexy.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, there are two sides to that. There's definitely male submission, female domination, and that is as much, as far as I know, as much of the of the BDSM world, you know, on both sides, and it's just not what I write about. It's not as much fun to me. I tried it for like 5 minutes, and my editor tried to get me to do it, and I was like,
So was your editor trying to get you from where you were to that, or just to use both?
she thought it would be a great idea.
To use both?
No,
To
no.
get you more into the female
Well,
domination?
she wanted a female dom book, and I was like,
Because she saw how well this was doing, and she probably thought
She
you were
doesn't
going to lose 50% of your...
Yeah,
your-
well, that's the thing.
She wanted those other people. She wanted you to pull them in, reel them
yeah,
in.
you know, there's not such a big readership for it. I know that it exists, and there's some great stuff out there. Most people who are into male submission do male books.
Uh-huh.
I don't know why. It's just not the way it is. But most of my readers have no interest in pursuing that as a lifestyle.
Mhm.
Most of my readers are married already to men who are not necessarily dominant, and they're like fine with it. They're just reading a book. Most people think that my male characters say very sexy things, but when you ask them, do you want your husband to say that to you? You know, like get on your knees and open your mouth. Most of them would say, I would laugh in his face if he said that to me. Yet, when a character in a book says it, it's really sexy. And it's this, that there is a difference between fantasy and reality, and most of it does not translate. I mean, look, a lot of books that are geared towards men are about the male fantasy of, I don't know, killing a bunch of people under various circumstances. And most men don't kill anybody and don't want to kill anybody. They're just reading a book. And for women, it's the same thing. They want to imagine being dominated in bed, but they don't. They're good. You know, it just needs to be very real and tangible on my part so that it feels like it's actually happening and that they can imagine it and maybe do a little experimentation. I mean, I've gotten plenty of letters from men and women who've said that they have started experimenting in bed with some of the type of things that I write about, and that it's really opened them up and that they really enjoy it. And one guy wrote to me and said, I think your book saved my marriage.
That's amazing.
It was the best. It was better than all the money, even though the money is great. But it was, you know, it really validated what I do, because it was like, wow, I really helped people, you know, people. And that
And you could have
That was a
helped.
great
You
moment.
might maybe didn't just help the people, but you helped the next generation. If those kids, if they
Hey,
had kids and
hey.
they stayed together, and all of a sudden, mommy and daddy are happy. And
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and again, there's levels of this too, And again, I met one woman at a signing who said that she got married when she was 19, but said that in their mid 20s, her and her husband started this whole process of him dominating her, and she was wearing she was wearing a collar. I mean, she was
she was really like doing
she
the
was
whole. Was it
she
a
was doing
lifestyle thing, or was it
well, it was
just?
a lifestyle with her husband, I think.
Mhm.
I didn't really get down to
Mhm.
the absolute details what every single kink was, but it was with her husband, and she had I don't remember what her job was, but she had, she was not submissive in life. She was submissive in bed, and that's also a big thing. Is this
Yeah.
kind of separation between the two, which they don't. It's not a
They
reflection.
don't correlate.
No, they don't have to. It's like you don't have to give up your life. You don't have to give up. I'm going to say feminism. You don't have to be, you know, You don't have to not be a feminist. You can be all those things and share trust.
I feel like we should say hashtag feminism there.
Hashtag
Because
feminism.
no, that's a really
Yeah.
that's a good point, and I feel like maybe some people's creativity is. I mean, I'm not the expert. I don't. I'm not the expert on this, but I think that maybe some people's you know, sense of play or fantasy. I mean, that childlike thing that we all get that we kind of lock up or we stop doing because we're afraid. I think people maybe are afraid to, for lack of a better word, submit to a different role playing situation.
Or dominate too, because that has a big responsibility when you're dominating somebody. You have a huge responsibility to make sure that they're having a good time. To make sure that
I thought you would have said a million other things.
Yeah, well,
but you're
but that's
like,
the first
I
thing.
want you to be happy.
I want you to be happy, but that's what it is. And you are not responsible for their happiness. And
Is that true?
yes.
Really?
You are absolutely responsible for them having
Or
a good
what?
time.
Or they're going to turn it on you and dominate you.
No, but or they're going to be like, they're going to leave you. I mean,
Oh,
they're going
yeah.
to say, honey, I didn't have a good time. And then you're going to feel bad. You're going to say, well, what can I do next time? And
They'll say, I want next.
hit me harder. I mean, okay. So, and some people, and dominants get off on that. They get off on that control and controlling somebody's pleasure, and controlling somebody's pain with pleasure, and all of those things. And that kind of control can really be a turn on. So, for every pot there's a lid, and right?
That's a good. I want to. That should be the second hashtag because people need to know. Like, there's a lot of people that are not in a relationship, and I want you to know there's somebody. You just have to open your heart and be open and
and
handcuffed.
leave the house. Maybe,
That's funny.
why not? I mean, if that's what you're fantasizing about, then that is what
You don't need to
seek
answer
out.
this, and I should have asked you this before I run through a list of questions with my guests. And you don't have to answer, but do you have any experience with this world, or was
I don't.
this something,
That I don't answer.
You don't answer.
I don't
Okay,
answer that.
but it's something that at the very least, you would have had I mean, there's a lot of this information is out there anyway, so
It's
people
not
can
hard to find.
Yeah,
And the internet is such a curse and such a blessing, because it's a curse because of what we all know. But it's a blessing because, you can live far out in nowhere, what I would call nowhere, but what is actually somewhere, without a lot of people around, and you can get all the information you need about whatever you need, and find people to talk to, real life human beings who have experience, who can support you. And that's really one of the wonderful things about what we can do today.
yeah,
on
no,
it,
for definitely. I mean, we're all very, very connected.
Yeah.
And we weren't before. And there's other times in history that were precarious and people weren't as connected. And I think this is a good thing for sure. Can you tell us a little bit about the characters? Like, I know you told us about the structure of the book. Can you tell us a little bit maybe about the arc? Is there an arc, or is
Yeah.
I was just curious.
yeah,
Like,
so-
I mean, obviously you don't want to give the endings away or
Right.
anything, but I'm curious because of these deep psychological.
Well, the arc
thing.
goes across 2 books, so I'll speak about it over 2 books. Adam was a dominant before he met his wife. And when he met his wife, because of things that had just happened the week before, which I'm not going to get into, when he met his wife, he fell in love, and he said, "I am not going to be dominant anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to be Mr. Vanilla." It's true.
Do you want to explain to some people might not know what that is? So
Regular stuff, regular sex, and dominance is about making sure, being in control in the bedroom, controlling pleasure, controlling pain, controlling her position. Bondage is a big part of that. So he had done something the week before and had been involved in something that was not good for him. So when he met his wife, he fell in love immediately and said, "No more. I'm going to just be this different person." So he was this different person for 5 years, and then his wife left him. And he was forced over that time to realize that, one, he hadn't shared himself with his wife. He had not trusted her enough to trust him. He had not been able to see her as a full and complete person. And
how did he see her?
He saw her as his savior.
Uh-huh.
She is going to save me from myself.
Uh-huh.
But no one can save you from yourself. People can help, but only you can save you from yourself. And he also could not love a submissive. So he had all these relationships before he met his wife, and then he allowed himself to love his wife because he believed that she was not submissive.
There is, what do they call it in a book where there's
a twist.
Yeah, well, or there's the problem right there. That is the mother load.
Yes, that's to be the mother load. So when she realizes that, yes, hot damn, she is submissive and she's enjoying this very much, thank you, it becomes a problem for them because he's like, "I can't love you." After which time she says, "Yes, you can." And then we take off from there where, she can't love the vanilla Adam. She only loves the dominant Adam. And Adam can't love the submissive Diana.
Wow.
He can only love the vanilla Diana.
So they have a problem.
So it's a problem. They're coming in at perpendicular angles. Like they're coming like this, they meet in one place, and then they're going to go like this until they can learn to see each other as full and complete human beings.
So that's really interesting because that's where the masculine feminine kind of melt comes in and the integration of all these different shadow. I mean, when I talked about this on the blog or when I listed it, I'm not sure if you saw it, but it was about bringing light to our shadow sides. And our shadow sides would be these sides that either we don't accept it within ourselves, but we want we need other people to accept them for us so that we can kind of come home to this feeling of completion and be the whole people we're supposed to be.
Yeah, but you need your shadow too.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in the shadow, and I love cuddling with my shadow and telling it how much I love it because it's still a part of me.
Yeah.
And it's a part of me that makes me me.
That's right.
And I'm not a big, I don't stuff the shadow in the bag, as it were.
Well, that also goes with emotion.
Yeah.
There's something I think that's true for America
Mark.
that we may be
Nothing.
that we may be moving away from now. But if you take a look at other societies, other countries, like people are much more comfortable feeling, expressing the parts of them that may be depressed or expressing the parts of them that may not be 100% like happy and over the top and rah, 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 it's all good. And I think that those are also shadow sides. And, if you find with your friends, I mean, friends need to support all parts of us. I mean, some people will isolate because they don't want their closest friends to see them. They don't want to bring anybody down. Maybe they're in a bad place.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll kind of like withdraw into themselves. They'll become a little more antisocial. And what we all need to do is along with our shadow sides and the different aspects of ourselves, that still is as much of a beautiful part of who you are as the stuff that we would technically say is great. Because it adds layers, it adds richness, it adds texture, anyway. So yeah, the shadow side of us is integral.
Yeah.
I keep saying that word. I don't even know if
it needs love and attention just as much as anything else. So, to me,
yeah,
at least.
So that's interesting. So that is an interesting arc. I thank you so much for explaining that because that is definitely a turning point.
And I didn't figure out that arc until late in the game. And then I had to go back.
Yeah. And that may be why your book starts at the end and then goes back. I wanted to know about your, you have you do a lot of book signings. We're just going to toot your horn for a second here because I do know she travels quite a bit.
Now in 2017, I'm done traveling. I'm going to New York for an award ceremony. I am going to nowhere else, I think.
You're going to nowhere else.
I'm going to nowhere else. Yeah, and it's really cheap to get there. I have to tell you,
it's free to go nowhere else.
You can get up and get your own coffee too.
But why? Why aren't you still doing all the thing? Are you busy concentrating on your next book?
No, I have a really big production schedule this year. I'm about to sign something with somebody else, which is going to mean 3 more books. But the issue is, it's really hard on my family when I leave.
Yeah.
So I'm giving them a year.
You can't leave your shadow with your family,
I can't.
obviously.
They don't like it. They don't like it. It's hard to clean up after, makes a mess. So I'm giving them a year off.
Ah, well, that's great. But that is also gives you more time to kind of, for these seeds of new ideas to germinate. I mean, I don't think any time's ever wasted.
Yeah.
So, but I do know you have a big fan base, and I wanted to ask, one thing that's very impressive about you is that you have such a nice relationship with your fan base. I think you keep them in what I seem to have picked up is you keep them in the loop. You alert them. You talk to them. They know you. They're aware of your process. And how did that occur? Like, do other writers have that?
Shocked. No, yes. The romance community readers are the most plugged in readers anywhere. And I didn't realize that because I was writing mysteries, right? So I was writing mysteries, and you write a mystery, and you
as soon as they figure out the mystery, they're like,
kind of, and then you upload it, and then after you upload it, you send out a mailer to your 300 fans, and then you go to bed. So that's what I did for my first book, Beg. I uploaded it, and I sold 400 books that month. Holy moly. I didn't do a thing.
I like that word.
Never heard of such a thing. Not only that, people were emailing me saying, why don't you have a Goodreads profile? Why don't you have a fan page? Why aren't you on Goodreads? Like, do you talk to any bloggers? Like, I'm like, bloggers, is that a thing? Is that a thing? Like, I had no idea.
Right. So how long ago was this?
This was in 2013.
Okay.
But it was a thing.
It also I was going to say it shows how much technology has evolved.
No,
from
people who were smart.
It was already going
on.
All
I did was research the genre. I didn't research marketing at all, because there were people who would come along and they would, make blogger relationships, which you should do because these are really nice people who love books. They would have giveaways for fans, which fans love because who doesn't love giveaways? That,
right.
And it all made perfect sense. They did a cover reveal. They revealed the cover before they put the book out so that people could get excited. And that was the way of kind of getting people involved. And they would put excerpts and teasers, and it was a way of, again, getting people involved and excited. I had no idea. I was just uploading books. So it wasn't until like book 5 that I got my head out of my rear, and started like, well, maybe I should contact some new bloggers. Because I was an idiot. I just kept writing books thinking that was it. So, but this is how I learn. I learn by doing stuff. Like, most people can read the instructions and figure it out and do it, and I'm not like that. I learn by actually being inside of the process.
You're hands-on.
Yeah, which is the whole thing with not writing an outline. I have to be inside the process in order to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I do something right, I'll forget it for next time. It's great. So I kind of got my head out of my butt, and there was a question there, and I think fans, right? So this is really slow, right? Whereas like my friend Christy Bromberg, she came around about a year after I did, and she got it. She put up a fan group, she put up a page. Her book is excellent. People are crazy about this book, but she has that relationship that she just built faster. It just took me longer because I needed to do it more slowly. Or people would come one at a time, 10 at a time, 20 at a time, 100 at a time. So, and that's how I built my core fans of 5 people. And then, outer rings of people who I know and then I talk to, and.
But you definitely have a relationship with these people, even though it was a slow process. That may have even been better for them.
Yeah, it was better for them. It was better for me because I need to take things in small bites in order to taste. I can't
It would have been like
I already
too
forget
much.
people's names. Like if I meet you in person,
Uh-huh.
even if you're not in the book world, if you're like a parent at my kid's school.
I love how you tie that into your erotic novel podcast. Oh, if you're a parent at my kid's school,
No.
don't forget to like
no.
say hi.
I mean, like if you're a parent at my kid's school, I might forget your name. I might forget your face, and it's just
Well, that's because you're like you're partially out of your body in the creative realm. I mean, it's very obvious to me that you
mine
know
like a sieve.
you're an out of body experience.
Yeah, it's hard to keep track of people when you're not really there. But so keeping track of fans is best when it's slow because the names are typed and they don't always have the same avatar. Like if you have the same avatar, you got a much better chance to remember who you are. And it was funny. I met a friend, a writer friend, who I'd never met before, and I had only ever seen her in a little square box on a screen.
I was like, what kind of like
And I was
bondage
like,
thing is that?
No. And I was like, Sarah, you have like a world around you, you know? But it's really much easier for me to digest people when I get like one at a time, 10 at a time. Not a deluge.
Yeah, well, you are a sheep. By the way, should we bring in? We only have a few more minutes. I wanted.
It's amazing. She told me what a sheep was like, and I was like, oh.
So
I'm a fire sheep, by the way.
yeah, and I'm actually, I believe I'm a fire snake. But anyway, yeah, the sheep are. You did some research for the Chinese New Year.
I did.
I don't know.
Let me see if I
Do
wrote
you
it
want
down.
to talk about your next book, or do you want to talk about this? I just
My
want to.
next book, nah, it's fine. This is more fun.
She did some research. I thought this would be really fun.
Oh no, that's not on here.
Chinese New Year.
I have the Chinese
Do you remember?
horoscope for the United States.
Oh well, do you remember any of that? That's juicy.
It was mine. I'm a fire sheep,
Right.
But United States, I wrote that down.
Well, what does it say?
It says that the United States, and I use 1776 as the year, and it is a fire monkey, apparently, and the fire monkeys are going to have an average year. Not too good, not too bad. Some bad stuff. We got some bad luck stars. We got some good luck stars.
Okay.
Which is not a bad thing. I think that's okay. And then, I did some of our country's leaders. And I found out like what their Chinese horoscope said, and it turns out that Mr. Trump and Mr. Pence are going to have bad years.
Well, what's their?
Donald Trump is a fire dog,
Okay.
which means he's straightforward, loyal, generous, and faithful.
Well, the thing about dogs is sometimes they can have problems believing in themselves, which could be why there's the constant Twitter wars.
And you don't corner
wars.
them. You don't corner a pit bull.
Yeah.
It does not work out well.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. Mike Pence is an earth pig, and he is also going to have a crappy year. Sorry. And my son asked me to ask about Betsy DeVos.
She's the new head of education.
Yeah, but she hasn't. I don't think she's been confirmed yet.
Okay.
Betsy DeVos is like his. I don't know what's going on.
His
but he's like-
nemesis.
yeah, he has like a fixation on Betsy DeVos.
Right.
And she is an earth dog, and I swear to God, she's gonna have a bad year too. My son is gonna have a great year.
What about me? Am I gonna have a good year?
I don't know. I didn't know.
Oh, you should've looked
We can check. I didn't. So, but my son is gonna have a good year. My daughter is gonna have an excellent
Everybody
year.
that knows Christine and
gonna
her
have
whole
an-
family is going to have an amazing
No,
year.
no,
and
but-
everybody.
But I'm gonna have a pretty crappy year.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not gonna be a good year for
You
me.
mean it's not a good year for the fire?
For
sheep?
the fire sheep. Nope.
Ew.
Nope. So I gotta be
Interesting.
careful.
What
Save
is
my money.
Alex? What is? Oh, I shouldn't say. What is?
Yeah,
this?
no. My son is a monkey,
He's a monkey.
wood monkey,
A wood monkey. Okay.
and my husband is a metal monkey.
Okay.
And
So they should get along really well.
You would think.
I would.
You wouldn't. Nope. It's like having two roosters in the house, but they're monkeys.
Oh my God. So, is there anything else you want to just tell your fans? I want to tell everybody, don't forget to send us a like, send a heart before you sign off, especially if you've watched it. Don't watch it without doing that. But is there anything else you wanted to tell your fans that are tuning in? And by the way, I want to thank all of CD Reiss's fans for following this program, for supporting her, and also for supporting the podcast that I'm doing by being here. You are.
Yeah, I have nothing. I have Bombshell coming out May 1st. It's a light, happy comedy. It's not a romantic. It's not a romantic comedy. Sorry, no. It's a light, happy romance. It's not a rom com, but it is very sweet. It's nice. A little dirty, but a little dirty in all of the most kind of normal ways. And it's nanny and a single dad. And then King of Code, which is the one set in the Rust Belt town. And then the follow-up to that, which is Queen of Rust. And then I'm bringing the young Dom from Separation Games, if you know who he is. And I'm doing a novella for him called Night Games. That's coming out with 1001 Dark Nights in November. And then after that, I'm working on my super secret project that I can't talk about yet. But I'll talk about in a month or two.
Wow. Will you come back on our show?
I will come back on your show.
Oh, that's awesome. So maybe by then you can talk about your super secret project, or is that really top secret? And
no,
we'll have to wait for until the end to go back to the beginning. So I guess with that we should we'll sign off. But I really want to thank you. You're a very creative source to be reckoned with, and you're very humble.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, cool. Thank you so much. And thank you again for tuning in, Metaphysically Speaking with Mystic Madison. We've got some more things, fun things happening for the next couple of weekends. And again, just so that everybody knows, I alternate between Saturdays at 3 and Sundays at noon, which I am going to definitely get better. I'm trying to get better with technology as well. So I'm going to be letting people know rather than 2 hours before when to tune in. So thank you again. This is Metaphysically Speaking with Mystic Madison and CD Reiss with Marriage Games. Okay,
that was fun.
All right.